Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Both teams want to win it. Yeah, both teams rather have a winning season than a losing season. We all understand that. But I think what we need to think about is just playing the game, playing one play at a time, playing our assignments, coaches trying to get the best plays in, get our players ready to play, and go from there. But, yeah, obviously one team will be happy and one will not be very happy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. The day after Christmas, the day before South Carolina and Miami tee it up here in Shreveport, Louisiana, at the Independence Bowl, and just a few days away from Clemson and Oklahoma getting it on in Orlando in the Russell Athletic Bowl. Phil Kornbluth here in Shreveport, Louisiana, where it is cold, it is overcast, there's a threat of rain. It's been raining on and off, and there's about a 60% chance of rain heading into the 3:30 kickoff tomorrow on ABC. Meantime, Kevin McCrary has made the trip to Central Florida to cover the Tigers and the Sooners. K-Mac, good evening. Welcome in.
Welcome from not so sunny Orlando. I think there's just this clouds that are lingering over the eastern part of the United States. The weather's been a little goofy, but it has warmed up, though, into the 70s today. It's supposed to touch 80 here in Orlando tomorrow, and another workout schedule for the Tigers as they're kind of putting the rest of that proverbial hay in the proverbial barn corn and getting set for Monday's matchup against Oklahoma here in the Russell Athletic Bowl.
Yeah, we've got some news on both the Tiger and Gamecock front we'll get to in just a moment. We've got bowl games going on as well. We've got some NFL news. The Professor Tom Hayes is back in our Columbia studios. And I went out and bought something here in Shreveport today, Pro, so I guess you could say I made a Louisiana purchase.
Okay. But I don't think the deal was as good as the one the USA before it became the USA pulled off.
Well, based on what I've seen of Shreveport so far, maybe they should have passed on buying Louisiana, you know. If the rest of the state well, K-Mac, I mean, you put me in sort of this mindset when I got here, and nothing has really changed my opinion based on the way you helped.
I would say this: if you're in the oil futures, which they weren't back in the day, I think you change your mind with all that oil on the coast of Louisiana.
Yeah, there's a lot of oil in this area, a lot of oil business in this area. I'm not too far from what looks to be a big oil plant or whatever refinery,
yes.
Yeah, or something that has to do with the oil business. But of course, my opinion is somewhat jaded because it's been such a lousy day weather-wise. I'm sure it's a fine city. I was over in the casino area today to pick up the credential, and that area looks pretty nice. With you got the Horseshoe Casino, you got Sam's Town. You've got Margaritaville. These are huge hotels and casinos. And they were telling me, some of the media guys today were telling me the casino where they're staying, the media hotel, is the Margaritaville Casino. It was packed in there last night. So they obviously do very, very well here. We'll be back. More coverage coming up.
How do I sound on this end? What's the point spread in the USC Miami game?
Stand by, guys.
Good to have you with us the day after Christmas. Did you survive? It did not feel like Christmas to me, because I don't really know what Christmas truly feels like. However, because I was traveling all day yesterday, 6 hours in the car, 2 hours in a plane, did not feel like a holiday at all. I was shocked by the number of people traveling yesterday and flying yesterday. My plane from Atlanta to Dallas was absolutely loaded 100% to the gills, about 180 passengers. And one thing I'll say about the state of Texas and the state of South Carolina Pro, what we have in common, I-20 is just as boring from Dallas to Shreveport as it is from Columbia to Florence. I mean, it's like nothing out there.
I know it full well. I've driven to Dallas on I-20 before.
Yeah. I mean, it's a straight shot. And, just nothing out there. A bunch of little towns and stuff like that, but you can't hardly see them. 800-956-7266, your last chance to join us tonight to predict South Carolina and Miami and Clemson and Oklahoma, because the Tigers and Sooners will kick off at about 5:30 on Monday. So we'll be on the air Monday rehashing USC and following Clemson and Oklahoma. So what do you think? 800-956-7266. Sports Talk on the scene, your only sports talk show in South Carolina, on the scene in Shreveport and Orlando, covering the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Steve Spurrier coming up in just a little bit. One piece of major news, and I'll try to get an update on this. J.T. Surratt had to go to the hospital yesterday, maybe even last night. Spurrier told us today. And he's got a stomach ailment, and Spurrier didn't think he'd be able to play on Saturday. So There you go. That's already weakened defense is weakened even further by the fact that their best run stopper and what little bit of pass rush they get up the middle, he provides it. He may not be able to play. Of course, the news yesterday, just a verification by Mike Davis that he's going to enter the draft early. No surprise there. And Duke Johnson, the fine running back from Miami, is having a presser on Sunday. And he apparently is going to announce that he's leaving to head to the draft as well. Outside of that, the news from USC, David Johnson is out with a concussion. Cody Waldrop is out with his knee. And it looks like your man, hey, now, Pro, here you go. Cedric Cooper is going to get the start at defensive end. Is that going to make the difference in Gamecock pass rush?
Well, it can't make the difference he's that rusty, but as I said before, he was the best pass rusher they had out of the gate. And I will stand by that. He just can't stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, he'll get his chance against a very big Miami offensive line. K-Mac, what do you have from the Clemson side?
The Clemson side, one thing to keep an eye on, just from an injury standpoint, is the tight end spot, because the Tigers are pretty thin at tight end, given the fact that Seckinger's hurt and McCullough is suspended, and it looks like Leggett is still hurt too. He did not practice today for the Tigers as they went through an afternoon workout after visiting a hospital this morning, part of their bowl week preparation. So the Tigers very thin at that tight end position. We know that it's going to be Cole Stout's game. Dabo Swinney said today he thinks Cole Stout's going to play a great game against Oklahoma, that he's practiced well and prepared well as the starter. Deshaun Watson is here in Orlando with the team. In fact, he got rid of the crutches today for people following his progress from ACL surgery last month. He is now, actually I guess it was earlier this month that he had the ACL surgery, injuring it last month, but he is now walking around without crutches. And on a recruiting note, Corn, the Tigers had a big committed player that might soon be enrolling if everything holds. Ray McLeod was watching the Tigers work out today at the practice field, the Thunder Field, which is right next to the Citrus Bowl.
Mm-hmm. All right, very good. That's not unusual for them to have recruits show up when they're in Florida practicing. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com, on Twitter @sportstalksc, Facebook Sports Talk Radio Network, and the website is sportstalksc.com. Get you ready for the weekend. Of course, I'll be at Independence Stadium tomorrow afternoon. I'll be tweeting from there. I'll be posting post-game interviews on our website, so make sure you take time to check all that out. Communicate with me during the game via Twitter, your observations, your questions. Of course, we don't overload you with play-by-play. That's not what we do on Twitter, but we will give you statistical information, injury updates, and any other notable facts that crop up during the game. And then K-Mac will be covering the Tigers, of course, over the weekend. Another practice tomorrow. News conference on Sunday. All that will be on the website, sportstalksc.com. And then K-Mac will take over Twitter on Sunday as only he can. Make that Monday. He'll take over Twitter as only he can on Monday to provide you Twitter coverage and post-game coverage on our website, sportstalksc.com. All right, a couple of other quick notes. How about Connor Shaw? Connor Shaw, who will start for Cleveland Sunday. He has signed a contract with the Browns. It's for 1 game and 2 years. They call it a 3-year contract, but it's 1 game and 2 years, and the money's not bad. We're told, according to a source, we're told it's a 1 game plus 2-year contract, total worth about $1.4 million, just under $1.4 million. And he's got his chance.
How much
his chance on Sunday to show what he can do.
Yeah, that's the thing about NFL contracts. How much of that is guaranteed? If they cut him in the summer or in the off season, he probably doesn't get a nickel of that.
Well, the surprising thing to me, Corn, was the headline. As if he has some negotiating power. He's an undrafted free agent. He's been on the practice squad, and he gets to start the last game, and the headline says, Shaw comes to terms with the Browns. I mean, as if he was negotiating the contract. Well, they probably were, but still, it sounded a little crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know how it works in the NFL when you come up off the practice squad before you're able to play in a game. I guess they have to sign you to a regular contract, don't they?
Yes,
they do.
I didn't think he had to negotiate anything. They said he came to terms, as if he has any terms.
Well, I mean, maybe his agent is just so good that he's able to put the Browns up against the wall there and say, hey, we're not playing for peanuts here, right?
Yeah, you don't have a quarterback, do you? Do you want one?
He's able to ATM him. It's either him or the thing is the same agent handles both of the Browns quarterbacks, Tyler Thigpen and he's kind of like the Jimmy Sexton of the Browns quarterbacks, as Sexton is to college football coaches. All right, so that's good news for Connor Shaw. Couple of games today. One is complete. How about Skip Holtz getting a bowl win at Louisiana Tech? 35-18, Louisiana Tech beats Illinois in the Heart of Dallas Bowl. By the way, last night driving from the Dallas airport to here, you go right through downtown Dallas at night. Man, what a beautiful city. First time I've been through Dallas to see it in person. You've seen it on television, and I've watched the TV show Dallas, and they show the skyline and that kind of stuff. That is one beautiful city to drive through. You can tell it's the product of the oil boom and all that oil money and modern-looking, clean architectural lines, et cetera, et cetera. And what a beautiful city downtown. It's a shame it's spoiled by having the Cowboys as their NFL team, but that's a whole nother story. So Skip Holtz wins the bowl game at Louisiana Tech. Congratulations to him. I was on the plane with some Louisiana Tech fans yesterday. And North Carolina is doing what they do best, and that is give up a lot of points and not score. They're down 23-0 to Rutgers at halftime up in Detroit. NC State is coming up against Central Florida in St. Petersburg a little bit later on tonight. Panthers, good news from Ron Rivera today in that D'Angelo Williams looks good enough to be able to play on Sunday. He won't start, but he will be able to play. They are concerned about A.J. Klein and his injury and whether or not he'll be able to play against the Falcons. Jonathan Stewart is slated to start at running back, but it looks like, K-Mac, they're going to have the 1-2 punch back at running back.
That'll be good. They need all the punches they can get in the playoffs.
Somebody chauffeur Julio Jones there with his injured hip. Make sure he starts.
All right, quit praying, Pro. Quit begging. Quit begging for little things. We will hit some phone calls in a moment here on Sports Talk.
K-Mac Corn wants to know if you've looked at the video yet.
Look at what?
The video that he's put up.
I have not. I mean, I got here and sent him his voicer, and I haven't had a chance to look at anything. I will, though. I'm not trying to get
He's
this
really proud. Make him feel good.
Coming up, we'll hear from Steve Spurrier, also Al Golden. Also, we'll hear from the Clemson folks as well. As for Clemson today, it was like a Wednesday in their practice scheme. They still have a couple more practice days to go before they get ready to play their game. 800-956-7266. Let's go to Ron in Irmo. First up tonight here on Sports Talk, listening to us in Columbia on our new affiliate, The Point, 1470. 95.9 FM. Ron, how are you? Good to have you with us.
Well, thanks, guys. A big Hurricanes fan here, and I'm wondering how in the world anybody would handicap this game. You've got two teams, both of whom have not lived up to the expectations that the fan bases had at the start of the year. They've both found ways to lose games they should have won. The Hurricanes have gone into their annual swoon after losing to Florida State. I thought we played pretty well against them until we started playing not to lose. And Carolina has blown some leads in the second half that they just really shouldn't have done. So, world, do you handicap? Figure that.
All right. Yeah, we lost your cell there, Ron. Thank you. I understand what you're saying. I mean, there's a reason these teams are 6-6, all right, because they're good enough, to beat some teams. They're good enough to be in a lot of games that they lost. They'll both look back at this season and say, gosh, we could have been an 8, 9, 10-win team, but for some reason we weren't. That's what the head coaches and the assistant coaches have to analyze in the offseason. When you handicap it, if you look at it on paper, my lean is to Miami. I love their quarterback. I love Duke Johnson, their offense. I just don't see any reason why South Carolina's defense is going to be able to stop them. And, Miami's defense is like Clemson's against South Carolina in that they might not stop South Carolina every time, but I think they're going to be good enough to stop them enough to build a lead and win the ball game. That's kind of how I see it playing out, guys.
Well, the way I see it, I think South Carolina wins because I think for the first time this season they're going to play for themselves. I mean, I know they've heard all the moaning and complaining, and they say, well, guys, we're going to play this game for ourselves and win it. Mike Davis, his last game, a lot of the players may not be there. Maybe some of the coaches won't be there. It always depends when it's a 50-50 shot. Who wants to be there? That is the key. I think South Carolina, while they don't want to be there, and I think they don't want to be there less than Miami does. And I think South Carolina wins the football game because I think they get the running game cranked up.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. The want-to factor is always big in these kind of bowl games. I get the feeling that Miami wants to be here. That they haven't won a bowl game since 2006, and they've lost their last 4. And Al Golden realizes, it wasn't the kind of season his people expected, and he needs to win this bowl game badly, or, the fire around him is going to be intensifying greatly. Back in a moment.
Here we go. Got some. Graham, I'll forward you this. Oh, wait, there's nothing. There's no audio. There's nothing attached to that. At least I don't see it. CBS Sports picks Oklahoma as a lock of the week. Here we go.
All right, Cam, I'm going to have to mute you once we play this Spurrier.
Okay.
We're happy to be here at the Duck Commander.
Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Phil Kornbluth in Shreveport, Kevin McCrary in Orlando, Professor Tom Hayes, and the state man Graham Pope back in Columbia. 800-956-7266 is our number if you'd like to join in on the program at some point tonight. We'll do recruiting a little bit later on. We'll catch you up for those of you who weren't with us on Christmas Eve and weren't following things over Christmas Day. We'll update you on some critical things there. Let me tell you that North Carolina has scored early third quarter. Rutgers leading the Tar Heels 23-7. We've got coverage from Orlando coming up in just a little bit. Right now, here in Shreveport today, it was the final press conference for the head coaches, and each brought a couple of players for USC along with Spurrier. It was Sherrod Golightly and Dylan Thompson, but we're going to stick with what the coaches had to say because that's the most pertinent, of course. So here's Steve Spurrier, final press conference heading into the Duck Commander Bowl tomorrow afternoon, 3:30. It's on ABC, not ESPN. Make sure you're aware of that. This is one of the rare games not on ESPN here in Shreveport. Here's Spurrier.
We're happy to be here at the Duck Commander Independence Bowl. As you know, our team at one time was 4-5, and we had to win 2 of our last 3. Somehow or another, we managed to do that. So we got bowl eligible at 6-6, and we're playing a very good Miami team, but also 6-6, and looking forward to seeing what we can do out there tomorrow. We've had some pretty good practices. I think our players are ready to play, and hopefully it won't rain too hard, and we can have us a good ball game out there tomorrow.
How's the rain going to affect your game?
You know, we haven't had a real rainy day, have we? But again, you hope your equipment guys, the ball boys, keep the balls as dry as possible. The referees do a good job of putting a towel over the ball in between plays and so forth. But you just try to be as careful as you can. And footing-wise, you got to cut off the correct foot. Don't cut off the wrong foot or you're going to fall on your fanny. So hopefully we'll just remind our guys of that and go play. Yeah. Yeah, we both teams want to win it. Yeah, both teams rather have a winning season than a losing season. We all understand that. But I think what we need to think about is just playing the game, playing one play at a time, playing our assignments. Coaches trying to get the best plays in, get our players ready to play, and go from there. But, yeah, obviously one team will be happy and one will not be very happy. Well, the fans, I think we'd rather have a winning season than a losing season, but especially the players on both teams. I think it's a very big deal, maybe to the players as much as anybody, and coaches.
Just your thoughts about his decision and how well he's prepared for the next step.
Well, Mike's made it pretty much known, he's going to play 3 years and go to the NFL, which is fine. That's been his plan, and we wish him the best. We wish him the very best. He's had a good career here, just like any player. People ask me all the time, how do we handle it? And as a head coach, I completely leave it up to the player. It's their decision. Whether or not they get drafted or don't get drafted, I still think they have to make the call. I think Mike certainly will be drafted, but you don't know. You don't know until it all comes around. We believe he will be, and hopefully a high pick. And certainly we think he can play in the NFL. But with the risk of injury nowadays, as we all know, I understand players that do leave early.
What does it mean to come back to Shreveport in the independent bowl?
Well, it means we're bowl eligible, and like I said earlier, it's with our record, I said, man, I hope we get to Shreveport again. I really did. I think this is a very good bowl. We're playing a quality opponent, and the people that run this bowl do a super job. They really do. And while I got your attention here, let me say something. We've all been watching this University of Miami 30-30 on ESPN. Okay, they won the game. They beat us fair and square. But a Miami player on that team quoted me as saying, we got our ass kicked off the field and we got our ass kicked in the game. And I didn't say that. I wouldn't be that stupid to ever say anything like that. Now, scuffle happened sometime earlier in the week on Bourbon Street. Nobody got arrested. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got suspended for the game. And to me, it was history. But for some reason, some people, some teams or whoever, they like to glamorize fighting. Our teams don't fight. I don't think I've ever had a team in a brawl, not that I can remember. But I certainly didn't say that. And that 2000 Florida team was one of my favorite teams. Those guys won the SEC after getting clobbered by Mississippi State early in the year and came back and won it. So I just wanted to say that. I did not say what is attributed to me by a Miami player. To get the record straight. Now let's talk about the Independence Bowl. No, I didn't say anything. No, they quoted a player. They never called me and said, did you say that? But that's not the first time in life somebody put a quote on me that I didn't say. But I did say most of them, but not that one. But anyway, that was Miami finished number 2 in the nation that year, and Oklahoma won the national championship when they beat FSU. So anyway, Oklahoma was the national champ of that year, that season. All right, back to the Independence Bowl now. Oh, I don't know what all it means. I think the ACC has excellent football teams. There's no question about that. And certainly they had a big final weekend of the season this year in the rivalry games. I think the year before, SEC won most of them, but they won them all this year. So they've got very good teams. And we just look at it more as a chance to get to 7-6, hopefully.
Last year, leadership role that you know.
Yeah, Dylan and A.J. Can, Sherrod, J.T. Surratt are senior captains. They've done an excellent job leading the guys this year, getting them ready to play. In fact, J.T., had some kind of stomach ailment. He's actually in the hospital right now, J.T. Surratt. So I don't know if he'll be able to play tomorrow or not. Yeah, but all these players have done well. Dylan's had a heck of a year. He's thrown for more yards than any quarterback in the history of the school this year. So he's a school record holder there. Just like, I guess, the Miami running back, Duke Johnson's their career record holder for yards rushing. And Sherrod's had an excellent year also. Outside linebacker, strong safety type player that he is. But that is not something that I would say.
Taking more of a toll on you.
Well, these games have been closer, than the other years, last few years. Yeah, it's been a struggle some of those fourth quarters, but we're not the only one going through this. You look around the country, man. Every games are pretty tight. All the schools have improved their facilities, and ours, gosh, we're still on the way improving ours. We've got some brand new condominium-style luxury apartments on campus for our players starting next year, and the indoor facility is supposed to be ready next year, doing all the beautification around the stadium. Everybody's upgrading facilities. Everybody's got a lot of good players, and games are closer. They're closer everywhere, not just in our league.
Do you feel any different about at this stage, at the end of the season, compared to previous years, physically, emotionally, you feel any different?
Well, I did the same workout this morning that I did 10 years ago. How's that?
What is that?
Oh, it's about 22 on the treadmill and about 11 or 12 on the bike. And I do a bunch of little sit-ups on that rubber ball and some light hand weights, stuff like that. 33 minutes total. Yeah. That's the aerobic. Yeah, that's just what I do. So I did the same thing. Maybe I'm doing a little bit more now than I did 10 years ago. I don't know.
Can you do the same aerobic workout today that you did 10 years ago like Steve Spurrier? The point is, he knows everybody knows he's turning 70 in April, and he's just trying to discount the fact that he's hitting another decade and saying pro that he's just as physically active and capable as he was 10 years ago.
Well, see, I don't know who to compare him to. Of course, the late Jack Ramsey was swimming in chill water in the ocean when he was in his 80s. So I don't. So you can take care of yourself. You can only be the age you are at this very moment. It's the only thing you can do.
K-Mac Corn's got Clemson audio for me. Yeah, he's going to email it to you, K-Mac. You're still muted. Apparently I can't unmute you, K-Mac. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, I saw Hood sent it, but I didn't see any links in the first one. He said he was going to resend because I didn't get anything but part 2. Just a little bit of Dabo and.
Thank you. You want to run that here or when? Okay.
Here's some Dabo, Yabbo Dabbo Doo. I'm posting this to our website too. Make sure. Share. Embed.
Corn, I'm not getting anything you send to my Learfield account. Will you send it to my Hotmail email address, please? Oh, okay. Hopefully it gets here in 90 seconds.
If it's not there in 90 seconds, Pope, it's going to be on the website in 90 seconds.
Okay, have you cut it at all, Corn?
It hasn't been. You're going to have to rip it off there.
It still hasn't landed yet.
Check the website, Pope. You're going to have to rip it off there. But it is up on the website now. I just posted it.
You want me to play it straight off the website, Corn? You want me to play it straight off the website?
Okay, back on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut in Shreveport. Let's go back to Orlando. K-Mac is there. He's there to cover the Tigers on through the weekend and into their game on Monday. And K-Mac, Davos Sweeney, met with the media after practice today to kind of set the stage for what's ahead for his team this weekend and on into Monday.
Yes, he did, and Dabo is always optimistic, always positive, and that was again the case today. He's been very pleased with how his team is prepared for this Russell Athletic Bowl matchup against Oklahoma.
You know, we're creatures of habit. To us, I know it's a Saturday to the rest of the world, but it's a team Thursday and kind of button it all up. Got to start getting the guys really dialed in and mentally ready to kind of flip that switch to play the game Monday night. So it's been a good week. Really like the way our guys have practiced. When we come to work, we've really been focused. This has been some of the best bowl practices that we've ever had. You know, hopefully it'll show up on the game Monday night. Just really appreciate the effort and the attention that our team has had really all week long. Yesterday was a great practice. Christmas Day, full pads, and some live work, scrimmage at the end, and I mean guys were really spirited, and so we've gotten a lot of work done. It's been a good, productive week. Now it's getting close to playing the game. Tomorrow's about dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and just kind of scripted practice, all scout work, and a little bit of special team work. We'll kind of bring it all together on our game prep day before the game. Go play. We've enjoyed Orlando. It's been a great trip. I think the guys have had a lot of fun. I think some of them went to SeaWorld last night and thought it was going to be a little too cool for SeaWorld, but they had a ball. So good week, and we're getting ready to play the game now. What you guys got?
What was the experience like this morning with the kids?
Oh man, that was special. I didn't even know there was a place like that, and it was impactful. It really was. Just being there. Some of the kids were at the parks and stuff, the ones that were there, to know that there's a place like that for these really sick kids, and a lot of them terminally ill, to have a place to go where they can experience just complete joy and peace and happiness. It was special. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to do that, and our players enjoyed it. That's a very, I'd never even heard of it. That's the Villages. I don't know if you've seen that. Been over there to see that. Yeah, but it's 70 acres. Just an amazing place. Amazing.
Is there anyone I know it's game plan, routine, but is there anyone even back in person, when bowl practice started, was really caught me? Somebody that's really turned it on that you thought, where'd this guy come from?
There's been several guys. We've done a ton of JV work, a ton of that, and that's always, we kind of have a process that we go through each and every bowl practice time, but culminating with a big scrimmage, which we had yesterday in the stadium. There's been a bunch of guys. CJ Fuller's one. I mean, man, he's going to be a good player. He is a hard guy to tackle. He's fast. This has been a good fall for him to just develop. And Scott Pagano, Pagano was a guy, and he couldn't scrimmage yesterday. He kind of got a stinger, but he's really had a very impressive few weeks.
All right, Dabo Swinney from the Tigers practice today as they continue to kind of put the finishing touches on their game plan and their package for Oklahoma. This should be a great football game. You look at this game on paper, you see an Oklahoma team with a returning quarterback who's very talented in Trevor Knight, the outstanding running back who can just crush you given the chance with that big offensive line pro going up against statistically the number one defense in the country with some guys who'll be playing in the NFL somewhere next year. It's kind of, Clemson's defense kind of reminds you of South Carolina last year in that they're an older group, they're a talented group, and these guys are going to be moving on to the next level. So the matchup of Venables against his old team and that talented Clemson defense against that talented Oklahoma offense should make for great television viewing.
It should be making, but I tell you what, Corn, I want to see the first quarter will set the tone, because I want to see with these co-offensive coordinators how quickly the plays are communicated in, because I'm always afraid that when you add another cook to the broth, some of the flavoring gets kind of shaken up. So it'd be interesting to see how they communicate the plays in order to get this rapid pace cranked up for their offense on Monday.
Yeah, but that extra cook, you might put a little more garlic in there, maybe a little more oregano, make it taste a little bit better. All right, just checking on USC's JT Surratt here during the break, visiting with Steve Fink, the sports information director, and he was not aware if Surratt was still in the hospital or not, did not know, but he said he thinks it'll be a game day decision depending on how he feels. He's got a stomach ailment. That's what they're calling it, stomach ailment, stomach illness. It's his last game, so I'm sure if he feels anywhere close to being able to play, that he'll try to play. But again, it'll be a game time situation depending on how he feels. Now to recruiting. If you were away from us on Christmas Eve, and of course we had a recorded show yesterday, we'll catch up on a few things. Brandon McElwain, the junior quarterback, Newtown, Pennsylvania, is going to announce his decision on New Year's Eve. Still waiting on the time for that. Had a final six of USC, Penn State, Florida, Auburn, Virginia Tech, and Duke, and basically got it down to a couple of schools there and has made his decision. When I talked to him earlier in the week, he had not notified the Victoria school, so I don't know if he's done that yet or is going to wait and let everybody know on Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve. Defensive end Javon Kinlaw from Goose Creek now has USC and Florida as his co-leaders. At one time he had USC alone at the top, then he had Florida. Now he's got them both up there, with USC trending more with him. They've been more active with him of late, he said he hadn't heard from Florida in a long time. He said USC's checking in on him regularly. Steve Spurrier Jr. was by to see him earlier this month, as was Clemson's Dan Brooks. And Clemson also is in the hunt here as well. He has the Tigers up on his list behind the Gamecocks and Gators. Plans to make junior day trips to USC and Clemson, and will take some visits. He also has offers from Alabama and East Carolina. No decision from him until National Signing Day 2016. Finished the year with 50 tackles, 8 sacks, and 6 passes broken up. And defensive back Michael Jackson of Hoover, Alabama, remains committed to Miami, but is still thinking hard about Clemson, he tells us. He had 12 tackles in the recent Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. Plans to set up an official visit with the Tigers after the dead period ends. Also talked to 6'10" Skylar Rimmer of Orlando, who's transferring from Stanford. Hopes to have a decision on his new school sometime after December 28th or 29th. He's decided between USC, Boston University, and Davidson. Of course, he made his official visit to USC the weekend of the Clemson game. And he said the Gamecocks are after him pretty strongly, as are the other two. Clemson has offered 2017 6'4" shooting guard Peyton Broughton from London, Kentucky. And in baseball, 2017 third baseman infielder Griffin Bernardo, Longwood, Florida, committed to Clemson. All right, there you go with the recruiting. Here on, what is this, Friday night?
Friday night.
Feels like a Monday night, but it's Friday night. Friday night here on Sports Talk, the day after Christmas. Another big hour coming up from Shreveport, Orlando, and Columbia. We'll be right back. Oh. Oh, forget. Pull me back down because I'm getting this.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
Then as we come back, Rutgers scores again on North Carolina in Detroit. It's going to be 37-7. Starting to have real worries. Worries not the word. I'm starting to have real questions about Larry Fedora, K-Mac, and whether or not he's going to make North Carolina into a true football power. Obviously, he's got to fix that defense. He's already fired his defensive coordinator, but now his offense isn't getting it done to help out that defense at all. They're getting just waxed by Rutgers, of all people.
Not a good time to be the Tar Heels. Their defense, they gave up 70 to North Carolina. I think to East Carolina. I think the Pirates are still scoring on them, and they fired their defensive coordinator. They've got a lot of issues there in Chapel Hill on and off the field with that program.
Well, see, you can't give Ralph Friedgen a bunch of plays. He'll tear you apart. The old guy still got it, and Rutgers actually looks like a Big Ten team tonight, but I know the Tar Heels have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, that's right. They do look good, but that defense they're playing is like running through Swiss cheese out there. All right, 800-956-7266, our number here on Sports Talk. We've got some time coming up for your calls. We'll hear from Clemson receiver Mike Williams. Also, we'll hear from Miami head coach Al Golden coming up in this hour of our program. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. K-Mac is in Orlando. I'm here in Shreveport. The Professor Tom Hayes is back in our Columbia studios holding down the fort. We've seen Louisiana Tech win over Illinois. It's a big win for that league and for that team and for Skip Holtz. Even though Illinois is not all that great, they were very happy with their win in Dallas today. When you a team in their league and you beat a team from the Big Ten, that's a nice scalp to be able to hang on your wall.
No, I was about to say, Corn, what is interesting about that football game is defensive end Houston Bates of Louisiana Tech looked like a number 1 draft choice today. He had 5.5 sacks against Illinois. By the way, guess where he transferred from? Yeah, you guessed it, Illinois. Sacks he had this season, 3.5. So he only had 3.5 sacks all season, yet he plays his old team in a bowl game, and he gets 5.5.
Now, you have to wonder, K-Mac, is this Skip Holtz on his way back to the big time somewhere?
He's seemed like he was on that track for so long. When he was at East Carolina, did great things there with the Pirates and recruited really well. Of course, Chris Johnson played for him there. And then he went down to South Florida, won a bowl game against Clemson, and seemed to be a rising star. But then it went south for him there. But I've always thought Skip Holtz was a heck of a football coach. He's a great guy, too, and had a pretty good run in Columbia. Probably got a little bit of a raw deal there, the handshake agreement for him to be the next head coach for Mike McGee that didn't work out for him. Mike McGee decided he'd go with Steve Spurrier, and who can blame him? Although your word's supposed to be the worst one.
The coach is clean as they could.
I got out clean, I think.
I cut you right at Steve Spurrier. Mike McGee decided to go with Steve Spurrier. Music.
Pope, I'm about to record this cast here momentarily, here about the bottom of the hour, and I'll send it to you.
All right. Did you send me that Mike Williams yet? Did you send me that Mike Williams yet? Okay.
Yeah, I think, you got to handle the inside too. I mean,
What'd you send to me, Mike? Yeah, 1.5. Stand by, guys. I'll have to mute you here in a second, K-Mac.
Okay.
Sports Talk on a Friday night. Good to have you with us wherever you're dialed in around the state. 800-956-7266 is our number. Coming up, comments from Miami coach Al Golden. Before that, and also Mike Williams, Clemson receiver, talking with the media after practice today. Before that, let's head up to Spartanburg. George is with us from the Sparkle City. George, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, Phil. George Levin is here. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, we're doing great. Thank you, George.
Got two quick Gamecock questions, but before that, I just want to let you know I'm sitting here reveling in Rutgers being up 37-7 on the Bluebellies.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch, to be honest with you. I'm enjoying every moment of it.
I agree with you. It makes me think of the opening game next year. The two things that come to mind is I hope that our defense, has been settled down by then and playing better. And the other thing it'd be interesting if Connor Mitch is the starting quarterback against the Bluebellies. So we'll see how that plays out. My questions to you about the Gamecocks, number one, because you're not on the air up here, I was just wondering if there was any news, any interesting news today. And then number two, I was wondering if you had the list of the guys who are going to be early enrollees in January from the recruiting class.
Yeah, I sure do. The news up here today, I guess it's up here. We're kind of up and over, I guess, in Shreveport, is that J.T. Surratt had to go to the hospital last night and is a game day decision now. Don't know if he's been released from the hospital or not. Had some sort of a stomach illness is what they're calling it. So he might not be able to play because of that. So that's certainly a big blow to the Gamecocks. And they're already without David Johnson on the defense. And they're already without Cody Waltrip on the offensive side. So they're missing some key guys there. But, yeah, that's the news from today. As far as Gamecocks who plan to enroll early, here's what I've got on that front for you. Darren Smalls, Marquavius Lewis, Dexter Weidman, Ulrich Jones, Sherrod Pittman, Ernest Hawkins, Gerard Washington, Christian Owens.
Is Darren Smalls, did he get his situation straightened out?
He's good to go.
Okay, that's good. One other question real quickly comes to mind. With the fullbacks going and with Gerald Turner transferring out, is there any move, what's going to happen there, do you know? And is there any possibility of Joe Blue coming back into the equation?
No possibility on Joe Blue. And as far as the fullback position goes, it's such an overlooked, forgotten position in college football today anyway. They'll just, if they need a fullback, they'll just find some defensive player who's not playing very much and try to convert him into a fullback. That's what they do these days. Or a tight end, an extra tight end, and convert him.
Yeah. All righty, Phil. I appreciate the information, buddy.
All right, my man. Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call. 800-956-7266 is the number. Connor McLaurin is South Carolina's fullback, and is he a junior or a senior? Anybody happen to know?
I thought he was a junior.
I thought so too. Let me check here very quickly.
But while you're checking on that, Corn, you talked about the fullback being a forgotten position.
Nope. He's a senior.
Oh, is he?
Got him with the seniors. Yeah, he's a senior.
Yeah, you were talking about it as a forgotten position, but I'm telling people, if you got a fullback that can catch the screen pass out of the backfield, nobody covers the fullback. I'm telling you, somebody's going to, it's strange how football evolves and then goes back. So I'm thinking once they start shrinking the offense again, maybe playing a lot like Stanford does, you'll see the fullback come back into play as a tremendous pass receiver come out of the backfield.
I'm looking for the day when football becomes football again, when we start playing with a fullback and a tailback and a couple of tight ends and start ramming people instead of dancing by them. Thank you for your phone call. Al Golden would like to make Miami a physical, hard-nosed football team. I think he pretty much has that. He'd like to make them a winner tomorrow against South Carolina to finish with a winning season. Now, in talking about the Gamecocks today, Golden knows that they have a potent offense, and it's kind of a two-pronged attack. They can run the ball with Mike Davis and Brandon Wiles and others, but Dylan Thompson can throw it extremely well and set up with the running game. They set up the play action. So Al Golden said he knows it's going to be a test for his defense.
Yeah, I think, obviously you got to handle the inside too. I mean, they get great push on the quarterback, and it can be a little bit misleading, Matt, because they are playing a lot of spread option teams. They are playing a lot of teams that are running the ball and have elusive quarterbacks. So from that standpoint, we just got to do a great job protecting. They will bring 5 and play some cover 1 behind it. So we got to be really, we got to be good. We got to shake free on our routes, get open, and we got to be able to pick up 5 or 6 when they bring them.
Conversely, what's the key for you to get pressure on them?
Well, number one, we got to win our one-on-one matchups, but certainly we're gonna when we do dial up, the 5 or 6 man pressures, we gotta get home with them. We got to make them pay. And so that's going to be a challenge for us. There's no question, about it from that standpoint. We got to execute. Everybody's got to be where they need to be, and when we do get our one-on-ones, we got to win. Yeah, I think that's the key. I think if they can get running the ball and stay in, stay ahead of the sticks on 1st and 2nd down, they become very difficult on 3rd down with their combination of run pass and quarterback runs. Number one. Number two, if the run gets going, they have an excellent play action team. They are an excellent play action team. They have some length. Obviously, in addition to having Farrell, a guy that can make you miss in the open field, they have some length that can go up and get it down the field. So we really have to go attack the ball and not give up deep ones. Join the party? Yeah, we'd love to join the party. I mean, I think we talk about the game. I think these guys are preparing to play, and all that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into that, and to be perfectly honest, we don't really get into the storylines. We're excited to play South Carolina. We're excited to play a team from the SEC, and that's been a great challenge for the last 3 weeks. So here we are.
Al, both teams are rated.
Yeah, again, I can't speak for Coach Spurrier or South Carolina. I think for us, we came here, with a mission, and I think from our standpoint, these guys have done an incredible job of practicing and keeping everything in perspective and relaxing when it's time to relax, being focused when it's time to be focused. Now we got to bring it to the game tomorrow. We got to bring it to the game tomorrow. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the battle. A lot of things can happen in bowl games. We got to be ready for whatever happens and just improvise and adjust and really enjoy it. So, but I don't sense any, and again, it's a question for these guys. I don't sense any morale issues or anything. I think we've enjoyed the experience, and from our standpoint, it's Denzel and Duke's second bowl game. Denzel his first 2 years was, precluded from going to bowl games or the ACC championship, and Duke, I believe that was your first year, right? So, from that standpoint, I think they're excited about being here and playing.
Coach, what about your relationship with Coach? You get a whatever about that?
Again, I have incredible respect for Coach Spurrier. Number one, because of what he's accomplished in his career, really the turnaround, if you will, at 3 different programs, I think speaks for itself, and just the way he went about his business. But I think from a more personal nature, he and Jerry, for all the functions that we've done together, they've been so kind and gracious, and he shares his wisdom and experience, and he's very approachable, very likable man, and in a private setting, he's unbelievable to be around. So I think from that standpoint, we're grateful, to he and Jerry, but it doesn't have any more significance. I think right now our focus is on playing really well tomorrow, executing, and coming out with a win.
Al Golden from Miami trying to get that win to put them into a winning way at the conclusion of this season. We'll be back. More sports talk in just a moment.
You want to run Mikey here? You can unmute yourself one more time if you want there, K-Mac.
Okay, man, I'll tell you, I'm getting like every other word on this end. I must have a bad internet connection, but or is Corn just dropping in and out that much?
No, it's all you. Corn's fine.
Yeah, I barely hear anything coming back on my end. Glad we only have to do this one night. Goodness gracious, this is just. I'll
have you throw the mic here. Corn. He's only $1.50. Hell, I got to mute you one more time, K-Mac, sorry.
And I pity those Tar Heel fans who went to Detroit. Number one, you don't know if you're going to get out of the city alive.
Come on.
And number two, their football well, come on, it's true. And number two, their football team is just getting hammered. Now it's 40-7. 40-7. Rutgers leading the Tar Heels. Mark Richt confirmed today what was widely expected. Todd Gurley is going to enter the NFL draft early. Of course, he's coming off a knee injury, and it's gonna. We'll see how that impacts the thinking of the NFL teams when it comes time to possibly draft him, because you don't know if or when or if he'll be able to play next season. Now at Clemson, once again, the Tigers practicing this afternoon in Orlando, getting ready for Oklahoma in the Russell Athletic Bowl on Monday afternoon, 5:30 on ESPN. Mike Williams, the Tigers' fine receiver, talked with reporters for a little bit after practice, and he was asked what it was like for him having to deal with football and practice on Christmas Day.
I mean, for the first time, it was kind of awkward. You know, it comes with growing up. You know, being want to play football, sometimes you have to be away from your family to handle business.
Has it helped you guys focus in, though, on Oklahoma, just being down here and away from all the distractions, to get focused on the opponent?
Oh yeah, we had a long few days of great practice. We practiced in the stadium, turf fast, so we just get some good work.
The client will now take no more questions.
Fine. Talk a little bit about what you think Oklahoma's going to bring to the table on Monday, and what you guys have seen on film, and maybe able to use to help out your football game.
Well, they just got a big front. They got a big front. They like to read what our linemen doing, and they go the opposite way. We just gonna have to pound with them and play big in the trenches.
How's Cole been in practice the last couple of days?
Oh, Cole, he's been great. You know, we stayed at the practice. Every practice got a lot of throws in, a lot of backs to the ball. Just trying to prepare for this game.
That's really the big question. Is Cole like he was in the spring? Is he kind of the Cole that he was during the middle of the season? How would you gauge how he looks?
I say he was the Cole in the spring. You know, we got a lot of time to prepare for him, prepare to Clemson, preparing here. He's just getting better every day.
That is the big question. How will Cole Stout be? Here's the question, Pro. Who do you think, at the end of the day, Monday evening, when we look back at the two bowl games, who do you think is going to have the better numbers, Cole Stout or Dylan Thompson, in their final games for their respective teams?
Well, if you're talking about individual numbers of the quarterback, I think it'll be Dylan Thompson, because I think, in my mind, Clemson is going to lean on their running game for two reasons. I think they have more confidence in it, and they're going to keep the ball away from that Oklahoma offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're going to let him throw it deep. I keep telling people Cole Stout throws a beautiful deep ball. Forget the intermediate patterns. Throw it deep.
But South Carolina, I think, at least on paper, looks like they're playing the better defense in Miami versus Oklahoma. Be right back.
Where's the timer on this thing? I don't know what happened there, but okay. Not quite look like 2 minutes. All right, let me try this. Yeah. South Carolina Radio Network Sports. I'm Kevin McCrary. It's game day for USC, the Gamecocks' final matchup of the season. That game was marred with a brawl. Both squads are 6-6, so one of these teams will leave with a trophy, the other with a losing record. Steve Spurrier has never finished below 500 at South Carolina. On the injury front, some bad news for the Gamecocks. Senior defensive tackle J.T. Surratt, very questionable for this matchup. He's been in the hospital in Shreveport the past couple of days with some kind of stomach virus. It would be a big blow for the Gamecock defense if Surratt can't go, already facing a tall order, slowing down a talented Miami running back. USC running Mike Davis is cleared. Announced after today's matchup, this will kick off at 3:30 and will be televised on ABC.
We are back, Sports Talk Friday night. Good to have you with us. We got time for more of your calls, 800-956-7266. Wide open for your calls the rest of the way, 800-956-7266. Also, email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Love to hear from you to get your take on South Carolina and Miami tomorrow. One thing I saw this morning on a local television station, Pro, this was on the crawl, and it said tickets bought by folks outside of Shreveport for this game. Very few. Very few tickets have been sold to outsiders, is what the report says.
Well, it's interesting. I think, Coach Spurrier hit it right on the head. They asked him, what about the tickets? So, we did, kind of won 3 years in a row, 11 games, and people been going to bowl games, and now we're 6-6 this year. Miami had high expectations. They're 6-6. I understand the fans. Kind of down right now, so that reflects in ticket sales. You get it right on the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was a little more optimistic of Gamecock Nation to support the team, but after, of course, I flew out here, but then drove over from Dallas. I mean, it is a pretty long haul for folks to come, and not cheap. Not cheap to fly or to drive it, so I can certainly understand. And, of course, the weather is not really attractive either, so I can certainly understand why the fans would be hesitant to make the trip like this. I mean, it's one thing to drive 8-10 hours, go to Florida for a couple of days and have 80 degrees greet you. It's a whole other thing to do it and have rain. And, well, it's supposed to be in the low 60s tomorrow, but rainy. But you would have had 40 and 50 degree weather yesterday and today to deal with.
I will say this, though. Won't take them too long. But the people from South Carolina who did show up in Shreveport, they need to get the sports information people on it right away, get all their names, and make sure those people have their names on those bricks on that new plaza they're building out there.
Mm-hmm.
Give them something.
Nice idea.
Yeah.
Nice idea. I don't think you earn any brownie points by being a good fan, but you're right. They should. Should be a way of rewarding, just like with the basketball fans. Those folks who use their season tickets to come to the Coker game or to one of the other lesser opponent games at the arena should be rewarded with better tickets next year, or maybe even a slight discount. That's how you promote it and get it to grow, but they'll never do that.
Well, there's some way you can work it out. Maybe they give him one game a year in the suites.
Yeah, yeah. Then you have to find somebody to give up their suite. That's the whole thing.
Give it up.
It's not a sweet deal for those who have to give up their suite, if you know what I mean.
That's because they didn't show up for the Copa game.
All right, 800-956-7266. K-Mac is in Orlando. We'll catch back up with him in a little bit. He's taking care of some business related to the sports network. 800-956-7266. And email talkback at sportstalksc.com. We've got some email that we'll check out here as well in the next few minutes. But looking more directly pro at South Carolina and Miami now, since it is coming up on us quickly. And you wonder, can South Carolina keep Duke Johnson? Well, he's going to get his 100-plus yards. I mean, he's on a roll of that kind of nature. The last few games of the regular season, he was over 100 yards most every game. He's at 1,500-plus yards for this season. And you just have to figure, especially if J.T. Surratt is out, and even if J.T. Surratt somehow is able to play, if you've been in a hospital dealing with a stomach illness, you're going to be in a weakened state. You're not going to be yourself. So I don't even know how much you could count on him if he felt like he wanted to try to play. But, you know, is Duke Johnson going to have one of those monster games like, you know, Gallman had almost 200 yards on him, and some others have gashed him? Is he going to have one of those monster games against this defense, or will they figure out some way to keep him a little bit in check?
Well, you know, the interesting thing, you talk about that, and the Gamecocks have been gashed by people using the sprint sweep, the draw, and what. Yeah, Duke Johnson is not that type of running back. He's a between the tackles guy. Now, he's got a little wiggle once he gets to the outside, but he's a little bit different than the backs who have gashed South Carolina. I think the key point is this, Phil. This Gamecock defense in this one particular game have to have fun. You know, when South Carolina gets gashed when they give up one big play, hang their head, another big play. It's a domino effect. Against Missouri, you saw them give up a big play early in the contest, and then they bowled their necks. Same with Georgia. Gave up a lot of big plays, but when they needed to get a stop, they got it. That's the kind of mindset they have to be in. They cannot go into that funk, which causes them to give up play after play after play, because for some reason their confidence gets low all of a sudden.
All right, let's get back to calls. 800-956-7266. Lester in Florence, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Doing good. Phil, with the situation with Joe Blue that happened last year, the kid from over in Dillon.
Yeah.
And then they had a receiver a couple of years ago, I think, a Smith kid that went to Carolina from Dillon, and I don't think he's in the program anymore.
No.
And it seems like from a recruiting standpoint, the situation with their quarterback over there at Dillon, that maybe Carolina might be cooling on him. And I thought at one time, maybe a couple of years or so ago, they even made him a verbal offer, commitment. Is something going on there that's strained relation-wise between this coaching staff at Carolina and the coaching staff at Dillon, or the players at Dillon?
No. I think Jackie Hayes is a big fan of South Carolina's staff and works very closely with them. They took DJ Park, but he's not eligible for the bowl game, but they hope he'll be back in school next semester. They had another lineman who left the school because of his desire to be closer to his girlfriend at Mars Hill, I believe, is where he ended up. So, South Carolina's had a lot of kids come out of that program. In Joe Blue's case, he just didn't make it academically. He's probably going to end up in a Division II situation. In the case of Avery McCall, they've got their sights set on Brandon McElwain at the end of this year on the 31st. And I think they feel very good about their chances to get him. And so they must think he's a better quarterback. And that's the egg, the basket that G.A. Mangus has put all his eggs in from a quarterback recruiting standpoint. So kind of the way they're looking at it, from a quarterback situation moving forward now when they lose Dylan Thompson this year. So you'll have Connor Mitch next year, who'll be a sophomore. You'll have Scarnecchia, who'll be a redshirt freshman. You'll have Lorenzo Nunez, who'll be a true freshman. And then in 2016, when those guys are a year older, you'll have McElwain in there as a freshman. So you'll have a quarterback that was recruited and offered by Steve Spurrier in each of the next 4 classes lined up if you keep them all in school. And that's good. That's the kind of separation you like to have at quarterback. Now, we'll see what happens. You know, guys get antsy. They don't get a lot of playing time pro. They decide to leave early, whatever the case may be. Guys don't pan out, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But they'll be set up. If these guys are good players, if they're quality quarterbacks, they'll be set up with 4 guys to cover them over the next half a decade or so.
Yeah, you always want to look at your guys in state. You know, the interesting thing about McElwain, of course, he's from Pennsylvania, but his dad is a USC alum. In the case of McCall, isn't it something having to do also questioning his stature? How can he play at this level? Can he get much bigger? What is he, about 175 pounds?
Yeah, 5'11". All he does is win championships and throw touchdown passes.
Go.
I mean, if you want a quarterback to do anything else, then you might want to look somewhere else. But that's
Grow a
pretty much
couple
all
of
he
inches.
does.
Grow a couple of inches.
We'll be back. Thanks for the phone call.
K-Mac, you available? You want to cut that cast? I think you might still be muted there, K-Mac. Or your mic's down, one or the other. I can't hear a word you're saying if you're saying anything. Yeah, his connection just went to crap. He just dropped.
All right. Check 1. Can you hear me? I am back. Check 1, check 1.
Check 1, check 1. Heard you, check.
All right, you got me. All right, yeah. I had to unplug. I'm just open, trying to get this cast together for you, sports.
For some reason, he can't hear you guys.
You can't hear me?
Well, they can hear you, but I got to bring them up on the board.
Can you hear me, K-Mac?
I hear you, Pro.
Okay. No, Phil was telling you that Connor Shaw's contract is guaranteed just for Sunday.
Yeah, that's how those work. Hey, they might have, they just should say it's a $100 million contract because they know they're not going to pay you any of the rest of it. Sounds good, though. Dangle that in front of you. Here's money you'll never see.
If he has a good game, why is this thing not? I've had a terrible day electronically speaking. I'm just really flustered over that sportscast. It's really flustered.
Jimmy Coggins probably is too.
Jimmy Coggins.
Yeah, he said, Jimmy probably said, okay, they screwed up to 4:15. I'll give them that one. They'll be fine. I'll run the 5:15.
Yeah.
The good thing is,
keep in mind your own Google.
as I think back about it, I use your two raps in there, and I did Gamecock stuff. So, except for me mentioning Christmas Day on there, you'd hardly know it was a Christmas Day broadcast.
It's 2 days after. Wait, I guess Christmas was yesterday.
Yeah, I feel like, yesterday I was saying it was Saturday to my wife, and she's like, "Do you even know what day it is?" I was like, "No, I don't." And now after driving in this friggin' traffic and almost dying 100 times.
I'm bringing you down, guys.
Oh my! It was just awful. It was a really bad drive down here.
If you want to jump on board the program, 800-956-7266. We got time for more of your phone calls, your predictions. Who's going to win? USC, Miami, Clemson, Oklahoma. Got some comments on our website, sportstalksc.com. And this is from Bryce, writing about the Gamecocks and the Hurricanes getting ready to play. He writes that both teams are 6-6. Hopefully the rivalry will spice up the game. If not, it will be boring. I'm not sure you could call USC Miami a rivalry, simply because they had a brawl in 1987. All right, nobody on the teams was alive in 1987, so I don't think they're impacted by what happened that day. Also from Joe T, about the same story, said that I thought we, South Carolina, were ready for a lot of games this season. I was wrong, so forgive me if I'm not overly optimistic. Yeah. Well, I don't know that a whole lot of Gamecock fans are overly optimistic. That a lot of Gamecock fans aren't overly interested. They didn't decide to make the trip to Shreveport to support their team. So we'll see if the Gamecocks can surprise some people. K-Mac, I think a lot of people will be surprised if South Carolina wins this game tomorrow, simply because they don't have a lot of faith in the defense. And really, despite having a great year, we've seen throughout the season where Dylan Thompson and the offense can just become very quiet for extended periods of time and lose touch in the football game offensively.
Yeah, and their defense, it's not a good matchup when you're talking about one of the elite running backs in the country, Duke Johnson, and they'll have to sell out to stop the run. That's kind of what they've done. They've just tried to pick their poison against teams, and so they'll sell out and try to stop the run, and that's going to make them susceptible to giving up the passing yards. They aren't going to have a pass rush. They haven't had it all season. It's just tough. I mean, that's why the Gamecocks have lost half the games that they played this year. They have a puncher's chance, certainly, and you never know what's going to happen in these bowl games. But, yeah, I don't have a good feeling about the Gamecocks. I think this thing could get away from them a little bit if they're not careful.
It's interesting you say that, K-Mac, because I would believe that Canes fans who've seen them play this year say, we got a chance, but I don't know, we 6-6 for a reason. I think both teams have holes which can be exploited. Now, explaining the Gamecock defense, a lot of times Dylan Thompson struggled because if a team gets a lead early like Clemson did, and they know you got to throw it every down, then you become one-dimensional. That's the key that South Carolina has to get away from in this football game is to keep close or keep an early lead so they don't become one-dimensional. When they're allowed to run and pass and have that threat, they've been very, explosive out of their offense throughout a football game. The key is not being one-dimensional by falling behind early.
Yeah, that's what Golden said. If Miami allows South Carolina to get the running game going, then that sets up play action, and that really makes South Carolina effective offensively. We say this all the time. Spurrier's got to be patient and let the running game develop and not get away from it too quickly. You know how he is when the Gamecocks fall 7 points, 10 points down. It's like chuck the game plan and just start throwing the ball all over the place, which is fine if you're making big plays out of your passing game. But it can also get you into a pace that you don't want to be in. And I think they're most effective when they can get a lead and then slow the game down and keep the other team on the sideline, keep their offense on the sideline, which is something I think they'll need to do here against this very good Miami offensive team. Let me mention, too, here, Miami, pretty good pass rushers, 25 sacks on the year. That's not outrageous. 55 tackles for loss. The guy you have to be concerned about is Armbrister. He's got 5 sacks. He's got 8 tackles for loss. And the next best sack man is Kanalu with 3.5 and 4 tackles for loss. So they can put pressure on the quarterback, but they're not exactly just blowing them up from a pass rushing standpoint.
And Phil, the other key is this. I always believe in a bowl game, and Alabama does this better than anybody. Nick Saban gives the other team a pop quiz. How do you stop Alabama? Well, we got to stuff their running game to have a chance, because we got to make them one-dimensional, got to make them throw. But what does Saban do? He throws on first down. He gives them a pop quiz. If you're South Carolina, you use intermittently Pharaoh Cooper and that Wildcat as many times as you can, because you say, well, Miami, here you go. See if you can stop this. Give them a pop quiz, something they thought about but maybe didn't work on a lot.
Mm-hmm. And run Mike Davis till his tongue drags, because you're not going to have him again after Saturday.
Corn? Can Corn hear me? Corn. Corn.
Hey, he can hear you, but
hear
you
me?
can't hear him, evidently.
Why is that?
Can you bring him up
I
on the
used
board?
I heard him before.
You
Phil?
want me to bring him up?
Yeah, if you don't mind, go ahead and bring him up. I'm not going to say anything that I care if it goes out.
There you go.
Can you hear me, Corn? Oh, yeah, I couldn't hear you. I just sent that Saturday thing and it went through. It says it loaded it. Took a little while, but it loaded.
Did it give you any error messages?
Mm-mm.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. It must have been my internet here at this hotel, I guess. I'm just so chopped up over that.
All right, I'm bringing you guys down. Stand by.
Okay, final minutes of the program here on this Friday night. We come to you from Shreveport as well as from Orlando. It's been a lot of fun here today covering South Carolina, and KMAC has the pleasure of covering Clemson over the weekend and into Monday. What's the weather looking like for you in Orlando the next couple of days?
Oh, it's going to be, Chamber of Commerce weather here in Orlando. It's going to hit in the low 80s tomorrow and Sunday. It's going to cool off just a tad. It's still going to be in the 70s on Monday. Not a big chance of rain, so it's going to be a very ideal Central Florida weather scenario here for this bowl game.
56 degrees here in Shreveport, overcast right now, and that's not so bad. Actually, it's kind of a weird weather pattern they've got going on here, because temperature is going up. Tomorrow, the high, see, this won't be so bad. It's supposed to be 68 tomorrow. So, we can handle that, but it's supposed to rain. In fact, they're calling for thunderstorm type of weather. 68 degrees tomorrow is the forecast for Shreveport. 70% chance of precip, humidity at 83%, winds at 10 miles an hour. So it's not going to be nice for the folks in the stands. Those that do show up, it's not going to be conducive for staying dry and enjoying the football game. But you know what, Pro? You put on your weather gear, you put on your boots and your galoshes or whatever the case may be, and you deal with it.
Yeah, my dress of choice used to be trash bags.
That works.
Oh, yeah.
And if you happen to feel the need to throw up, you got a trash bag right there at your disposal.
Not mine, because they've had armholes cut in them.
Well, you just make a little pouch. Just make a little pouch, and that works, and give you a little more detail about the weather tomorrow here in Shreveport as far as what it's going to look like by game time. 64 degrees at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 62 degrees. Now, according to the forecast I'm looking at, the rain is supposed to ease up around 2 o'clock. They're just saying cloudy from 3 through 6, with the temperature dropping off from 62 to 56 degrees over that 3-hour period. So maybe the rain is going to do its thing between 12 and 2 and leave us alone the rest of the afternoon. That would be nice. All right, don't forget, tomorrow, follow our coverage of USC Miami on Twitter at SportsTalkSC, on the website SportsTalkSC.com, and follow K-Mac in Orlando on Twitter as well. Also on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. He'll be covering the Tigers through their game on Monday. Final thoughts, K-Mac?
Enjoy Shreveport, Corn. Have a great Friday night in Shreveport. Shut it down.
I think I'll do just that. Pro, final thoughts from you?
Well, I think Carolina will win tomorrow, and the Tigers will steal one from Oklahoma on Monday.
Oh, the optimistic one. We'll see if you're right and we're wrong. Thank you, Steak Man. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday night.